as we heard from Harry, the government is clearly going out of its way to try and reassure people like you that ordinary mainstream Christian life and Christian teachings won't be made a criminal activity. Are you convinced by that?
I'm sure that their intention is that kind of from a distance what they see as ordinary Christian activities will continue. But I think in the practice of working out the legislation and even just thinking about the definitions we were just given, I think the ordinary preaching, teaching, praying, counselling, working with youth, working with older people will end up, if we're not careful, being proscribed, being banned, because it's in this area of who actually decides what's harmful in terms of talking to people. And a benign statement of Christian truth is one thing, but what if you say, I think you should do this because this is for your own good? That may well be considered something which is, coercive and so on. And so we think that there's over 2,000 signatures now. We think that the terrible practices that have happened in the past, rarely, but have happened, where we're totally against those. But actually explaining the gospel and explaining our identity in Christ is a good thing to do for people.
Yeah,
and we don't want that to be banned, and we fear it might be.
Press you to be a bit more precise on that, because something like explaining the gospel is exactly what they've said is not going to be a criminal activity. Where do you see yourself running into trouble? Can you give me an example of the circumstances where something you regard as normal Christian teaching and life will be in real danger of becoming a criminal act?
Well, if an under 18 approaches us, any of our churches, and says, I'm not sure about my attraction, I'm not sure about how I should live out, what gender I should live out. If we were to then say, this is what we think the Bible teaches, this is how we think it applies to you, and to say that in love and to say that without pressing it on them, I think that could fall foul of these laws, particularly for under 18s where they can't apparently give consent.